if an insurance adjuster calls an injured worker, why is it safer to let a lawyer handle it than representing yourself?
Because the adjuster is going to act like your friend, and they're not
Okay.
really there to be your friend. They're basically there to help themselves out.
Marco, thank you so much for joining us here on Work Comp Talk podcast. It's your first time on the podcast. Welcome. How do you feel?
I feel good. Thank you for having me.
Oh, we're excited to have you. So tell me a little bit about yourself. Before we dive deep into this topic, I kind of want to get to know Marco first. So that way I know that you for real are telling me the things that I need to hear and it's coming from a resourceful source. So how long have you been doing workers' comp for?
I've been doing workers' comp for over a decade.
So speaking about important things that happen in people's lives, and I love that about you, that you chose to actually be for the people and fight for their rights in that sense, right? This is a very important question. It's a common question in the workers' comp system. And why does the insurance company even call injured workers, in your opinion, when you've handled cases? Why do they call the injured worker? What's their purpose behind a call from, say, the claim adjuster?
Adjusters usually call the injured workers to get information of their injuries. At the same
Okay.
time, too, they want to find out exactly if they're maybe trying to exaggerate or trying to get the facts of how how the injury actually happened.
So they're investigating and they're paying attention to your tone. They're paying attention. Do they record the call?
From my knowledge, sometimes they do, but they actually advise you that they're going to record it.
Oh, before they do it. Okay,
Yeah.
good to know.
Yeah. If you start talking to an adjuster, I would probably ask them if they're going to record the conversation.
Why?
Because if they record the conversation, you got to make sure that you actually know what you're going to tell them, because they could use that against you in the future.
Oh, that is very good to know. Now, when an insurance adjuster calls you, first of all, why are they even calling in the first place? I'm assuming it's not to be your best friend and tell you good news, right? Or is it?
No, right. So again, they're trying to get information and facts of your injury. They're trying to find out what body parts you're going to be claiming. They're going to try to act like your friend and be like, oh, I'm so sorry that this happened to you. But in reality, they're trying to see if they can minimize your injuries.
That's so rude. How
Yes.
dare they? Okay, so hint, hint, don't look at a call from a claims adjuster as someone who's going to be your best friend, because that shit's not going to happen. It's just, come on, dude. They're trying to save money for their company. If you
That
put
is
two and two
correct.
together, they would not be your best friend. So, Marco, what do you tell clients when you're representing them? Or even if a client wasn't represented by an attorney, what would you tell them as far as what they do when the insurance adjuster is calling them? Like, what are those tips that you would want someone to tell you?
If they're not being represented by an actual attorney or law firm, they should not try to minimize their injuries. Don't try to say like, oh yeah, I hurt my back, but I think I'll be fine if I just get some rest. No, because obviously they're not doctors to determine how their body is going to function later on in a week or two. Just don't minimize it and tell them exactly what happened, what they're feeling. If it's a sharp pain, a numbing pain, a dull pain, try to explain what type of pain you are experiencing.
What if it's a minor, like there's a pain, but you're not so sure? Like, is that still something good that you should tell a claim adjuster?
If it's a minor pain, it's always okay because I tell people don't exaggerate. Because if you exaggerate on something, sometimes insurance adjusters do hire private investigators to follow that individual around. So if they actually find you trying to do something that you say you're not able to do, that hurts your credibility.
Right, for sure. So, okay, note to self. If the insurance adjuster calls you, stay calm. Try to act normal. What else would you tell them to do? I don't know.
Again,
Get their name.
so one thing to do is to start off, get their name, information, find out who are they representing. Are they representing the employer or are they representing the insurance company?
Oh, that's important. Okay.
Because what ends up happening is if it's the employer, they're just trying to get the facts. If it's the insurance company, they're actually investigating the injury.
So that's where you say be careful with everything you say, because like how they say with the cops, right? Anything you say can and will be used against you in a
Yes.
court of law. Okay, so What if they actually want to hear, like, let's just say the claim adjuster calls me and tells me, hey, I just want to hear your side of the story. In some way, shape, or form, they want to record a statement from you. What do you do? Do you talk to them or you say, I'd like to have an attorney present? Like, what do you say?
Well, if the person feels comfortable enough to convey how the injury actually happened, then go ahead and convey it as much as they could
Mm-hmm.
actually remember. If they feel intimidated by getting an actual statement, then I would defer them to actually consult with an attorney to have them represent them in case they should say something that could damage or hurt their claim.
Yeah, that makes sense. Marco, what should they not say? Like, absolutely don't even say this. I don't know. What if they start asking questions about your health, your previous health or something? I've
They
heard
should never,
stories.
yes, they should never say, "Oh, I felt this pain before." Never ever say that. Because if
Okay.
they end up saying, "Oh, I felt this pain before," they're going to assume that they're probably experiencing a pain from a prior injury, say a prior slip and fall, a prior car accident, anything in that sense. They're going to assume that they're just experiencing a pain from before.
Right. I've heard when we've had Bilal in other episodes, he mentions the importance of it's not your job to explain to them or speculate about how the injury happened. It doesn't matter whose fault it is. And I feel like a lot of people try to always over explain how the injury occurred. Would you say that's a positive? Like, not necessarily how, obviously, they want to know how it occurred, but you know what I'm saying? Like sometimes people try to they try to make it seem like they're almost afraid that they're going to get in trouble because it was an accident that they could have avoided, but they couldn't because technically it's an accident. I know it
Right.
sounds complicated, but I don't know. People try to overdo it sometimes explaining this. I don't know if I'm making any sense.
That is correct. A lot of people try to exaggerate their injuries. And that's the big no no in this worker comp field. Never try to exaggerate anything because
Okay.
doctors can always perform exams to determine if that injured worker is actually hurt or is actually going to exaggerate on their symptoms.
What if they tell me, what if the claim adjuster is like, hey, I'm going to send over some documents that I need you to sign? Like, do they even do that? Like, is that a thing?
There's some I guess there are some cases where the insurance adjuster sends out, hey, I want you to sign this. If it's a simple release to get medical records from a clinic that he or she has attended, then I would say yes. But if it's
Mm-hmm.
something that's more in the legal standby where they're asking you to maybe sign something that's going to release them from any type of entitlement or benefits, definitely consult with an attorney.
100%. You know, obviously you handle cases. You've done this for over 10 years. If an insurance adjuster calls an injured worker, why is it safer to let a lawyer handle it than representing yourself? Like,
Because the adjuster is going to act like your friend, and they're not
okay.
really there to be your friend. They're basically there to help themselves out.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have an attorney representing you, they're going to follow the law to the T and get you any benefits that you're entitled to, which could be
Right.
either wage replacement, medical treatment, or mileage reimbursement.
Okay, so that makes sense. I mean, I guess a lot of the times as an injured worker, you trust the system. It's an automatic. It's kind of like you go to the doctor and you're going to trust that the doctor knows what they're doing because they're a doctor. So if the doctor tells you, take this medication, this should help your pain, you're going to take the medication without even thinking twice. And for workers' comp claim adjusters, it's very similar. You're going to trust automatically because you're like, oh, well, that's a claim adjuster. This is their career. They know and they're here to guide me. Is that true or not?
That is not true because obviously the adjusters, they're going to, again, they try to be your friends and they're going to say, okay, well, maybe you just need some physical therapy and then you go back to work. They have no medical background to know if something medically is necessary for you. So that's why
True.
it's always best to get an actual good doctor that's going to be on your side, hear your complaints, and help you out to their best availability and following the law.
Would you say, on an average, a person that is not represented, the claim adjuster is going to look out for the best interest, or because they've been in the system and they know the system, they're going to play the injured worker badly that the injured worker won't even know? For example, maybe you can share with us a case without giving any names. Have you ever had a case where the injured worker comes to you and tells you, well, they're offering me this amount? And then you take the case and you're like, oh no, they're really trying to scam you. Does that happen often?
It it doesn't happen often because either way the adjuster has to follow the law. So they have to
Mm-hmm.
at least try to give some medical, show some intent that they try to provide some medical treatment. Now, usually the client, they're not really going to fully recover from very minimal treatment, but the adjuster is going to try to maybe convince them, like, oh, this is all really what you need. This is what the doctor said that you need. I think it's ready time for you to go back to work. In fact, here,
Mm-hmm.
sign something saying that you're willing to go back to work so like that you can continue having your job and be able to provide for your family. So sometimes
Okay.
they try to maybe trick the injured worker to basically make them go back to work.
So if you're represented by an attorney, if you decide, you know what, I want to make sure that I don't make any mistakes, if I am hired or if I hire an attorney, sorry, if I hire an attorney and a claims adjuster calls me, what should I do? Or, yeah, what should I do?
If an injured worker hires an attorney and they are being represented and an adjuster calls them, it's always best to convey to them, I'm being represented by this law firm. Please call them and talk to them about any issues.
Okay.
Let us,
Um,
let any attorney or even us fight for them.
okay. So yeah, that makes sense. The way that I see it, and I've always put it in plain, simple English, is if the insurance and the claim adjuster some of the time are represented by an attorney, I think the injured worker should also be represented by an attorney. But most importantly, if they do this for a living and if they've studied this part of the law for a career of choice, and you are working in construction or you're working in a different field and you have no idea how this part of the law works, why would you even want to battle it out alone when they're the experts and they're gonna have one up on you? It's like, why?
Exactly. So a lot of people sometimes are probably intimidated that even if they have to file or maybe pursue a claim for long enough, that they're going to end up losing their job. And that's one of the main concerns that a lot of employees end up having. Oh, if I file a claim, am I going to get fired? Am I going to get let go? Am I going to get laid off? How am I going to feed my family? So it's always better
Mm-hmm.
for them to consult with an attorney and get representation and get help that they actually are entitled to.
Yeah. Okay. So what do you do if you're an natural anxious person? Let's say you're just the type of person that you get so nervous and then the insurance adjuster calls you and there's no hiding how anxious or nervous you are. Like, what do you do then?
I would probably tell the injured worker to take a deep breath and relax. I
Mm-hmm.
know sometimes this can be intimidating, but if they feel that they cannot properly convey or express what they're experiencing or feeling or their symptoms, then let somebody do it for them and hire an attorney.
Got it.
Because
Okay.
if somebody is stumbling too much, they could reveal something or they could try to again minimize what their symptoms are. And the adjuster is just going to jump on that and play that and basically try to say it's all minimal. It's a minimal injury. You should go back to work.
Yeah, that would suck. And I'm pretty sure it happens often. Marco, is there anything else that an injured worker should expect if a claim adjuster is calling them that we have not mentioned on this episode?
So if they're, say the injury just happened, say a month before they get a phone call from the adjuster, get the claim adjuster's information, definitely get a claim number. If the injured worker has gone to a doctor, find out where they could send that doctor's note as far as maybe an email or fax number. So like that, they can provide that to the adjusters to help them while they're doing their investigation on the actual injury.
Got it. You opened up a whole can of worms. Now I have a lot of questions for you. So, when should I expect a claim adjuster call?
Well, it all really depends. So the actual claim starts when your employer files a DWC form. So
Mm-hmm.
once that is filed, that gets sent to their insurance carrier. Then probably about a week or so, somebody will end up calling them to find out the facts of the injury. And then that's when obviously you got to convey the symptoms, the injury, the mechanism of the injury, if anybody was around to see them get injured, if anybody assisted them after they got injured, if an object fell, did somebody cause the injury? all that information needs to be conveyed.
Okay. Now, where would I find the claim adjuster's information or even the claim number for me to try to send this note from the doctor?
So usually when you speak to an adjuster, they're supposed to provide you a claim number and your date of injury. Now, if
Mm-hmm.
you don't ask for it, they'll probably send you something in the mail providing you all that information with the insurance company information.
Got it. Okay. Awesome. Well, that was really good to know. I do want to thank you, Marco, for your time. I appreciate. I hope we can have more of your brain in some future episodes as well. Definitely, if you're watching the episode on YouTube, make sure you leave comments below. That way, we can get back to them and try to help out. If you want a free consultation, you can go down to the description below and follow the link, and it takes you directly to our experts where they can kind of come up with strategies and help answer all of those questions for you as well, so you have a successful workers' comp claim. And most importantly, if you are listening to this on your favorite podcast app, make sure that you guys hit the subscribe button. That way you guys can get notified every time we upload a new episode, which is weekly. But Marco, again, thank you so much for your time. Will we have you again in another podcast?
Yes, definitely. I love it here. And, if you ever need any help, definitely reach out to me.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Well, that's it for today. We'll catch you guys on the next episode of Work Comp Talk.